body cams, whole fucking hood of eyewitness. Prosecutor give it to a grand jury, let a room full of crackers try to justify murder. Black leaders try to tell me that the reason I'm a victim is my clothes too baggy and my pants keep sagging. How the fuck you niggas leaders when you niggas all scared? Church suits, perfume, slick hair. Words too fake to compare. No nuts, no spine, I swear. When the city on fire, ain't none of y'all there. Smart niggas on an idiot box trying to argue with the cop like the pig really care. See it in me, certainly not, nigga. We are men, fucking run up on the cop with a fully automatic rat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat. Open up the paddy wagon, say Freddie Gray. Send him home to his mama, tell her have a nice day. When you fear for your life, it ain't a right or wrong way. Nigga, shit, this what the police say. When they kill a kid around my way, 16 round spray on a cold brown lay. 17 years young, somebody black son. Dumb. They're afraid of the dog, they murdering his son. Then they come with the cover up, they don't even cover up the young boy body while his warm blood run. Like an animal or something. We can see a soul even looking back at the slum if there's a lot of good cops. Show me.
Show me. Show me. Bet you can't show me. Show me. Show me. Bet you can't show me. Show me. Show me. Bet you can't show me. Show me. Bet you can't show me.
Where are the good ones at?
Show me. Show me. Bet you can't show me. Show me. Show me. Bet you can't show me. Show me. Show me. Bet you can't show me. Show me. Bet you can't show me.
Where are the good ones at?
When a bad cop stop and he pull his firearm and 16 shots in the body of Laquan, where the good cops at? Wouldn't they stop that, pull a bad cop back and arrest that cracker? They ain't doing none of that. Where the evidence at? Delete tape from the Burger King, cover up the murder scene. 8 or 9 cops, not a good one with him. Drugs and guns being planted on a victim. And if he don't die, then they ship him off to prison. It's a whole fucking system, not a lone road cop. You be running to defend him till your child gets shot. These bars real cold, even though my shit hot. Just looking when a cop gets shot. All of a sudden, he's a motherfucking top cop. Last week, he was beating up a lady on the interstate in Cali, and he knew that she was homeless. While the good cops watched and condoned it. Try to tell me that it's one cop only. Look, devil, I was raised in the ghetto where the pigs plant metal, so a nigga know better. Now you ask since when they've been doing this forever to oppress black men, women, children, or whoever. Got one drop from an African pop or a royal bloodline from his African mom.
Show me. Show me. Bet you can't show me. Show me. Show me. Bet you can't show me. Show me. Show me. Bet you can't show me. Show me. Bet you can't show me.
Where are the good ones at?
Show me. Show me. Bet you can't show me. Show me. Show me. Bet you can't show me. Show me. Show me. Bet you can't show me. Show me. Bet you can't
Where
show
are
me.
the good ones at?
Show me. Show me. Bet you can't show me. Show me. Show me. Bet you can't show me. Show me. Show me. Bet you can't show me. Show me. Bet you can't
Where
show
are
me.
the good ones at?
Show me.
This has got
Show
to
me.
stop.
Bet you can't show me.
Why isn't he at least in jail right now? Because you know what? If it was me or any of these people back here that shot and killed somebody, we would be in jail right now. We would be under the jail while our investigation is going on. But he gets to go home and he gets to be with his kids and his wife and watch his little TV shows, gets to eat good meals. Where's the chief at? Y'all two chiefs? Why aren't they over there arresting them right now? You know why? Because there's no good cops. Where are the good ones at?
Black August Resistance. Long live the dragon. The following is a piece to clarify what Black August is. So many times we hear talk about Black August and, you know, the claims of what Black August is. We want to set the record straight because I think that one of the things throughout the years is that we understand that folks have mistakenly looked at Black August as some type of Black History Month of August, and that's not the case. So we want to kind of take a deep dive, a simple deep dive into what Black August is and what it's not. We know that oftentimes people have added different dates to Black August. Black August is strictly about political prisoners, and it's about political prisoners. It was founded, the foundation is in the work of political prisoners. There are a number of different great things that happen in August when it comes to resistance, but they have nothing to do with Black August. You know, there are a number of different birthdays. We could talk about, you know, the Honorable Marcus Mosaic Garvey. We could talk about, you know, the Haitian Revolution. We could talk about Nat Turner's Rebellion and so many other things. And it's all great. And these are things that are important to us as African and indigenous or colonized people. It is, you know, great. But Black August itself is about political prisoners. And so we want to talk about the founding of Black August and, you know, historically how it's moved along. Before we go there, we want to break down, because I recognize that sometimes, you know, in movement circles in particular, we use certain terms. So I want to start off with one very important term, and that is political prisoner. What is a political prisoner? Now, there are definitions that different organizations have. This is a definition that was given to us by Black August Organizing Committee archivist O.G. Kamasi. This is a definition that we at FTP Movement, you know, have adopted, and this is, you know, one that we go by. A political prisoner is someone targeted or imprisoned because of their political actions, affiliations, and or beliefs. A political prisoner is also a person who, while in prison, takes up and maintains political struggle. We know that sometimes that people are, you know, confused, and they think that political prisoners are just folks who were arrested because of their actions, affiliations, or beliefs. But sometimes you have brothers and sisters who are politicized once they're behind the wall. A great example would be the brother on the screen right now, Haj Malik El-Shabazz, known as Malcolm X. You know, he's a great example, him and folks like George Jackson, of individuals who went inside the prisons that didn't go in as political prisoners, but grew into their consciousness, into their, you know, revolutionary teachings, etc., and advanced from there. My name is Kalonji Changa, in case any of you, you know, are not familiar with my voice. I'm the founder of the FTP Movement. I'm a founder of Black Power Media, and I am a former East Coast coordinator for the Black August Organizing Committee. So I'm going to get kind of jump into this thing so the folks can get some clarity again. Black August. What is Black August? Again, I hear folks saying, you know, happy Black August, and we're celebrating Black August, and they come up with all types of different programs and, you know, things that don't really have anything to do with Black August. A Black August car wash, Black August parties, and so on and so forth. And that's, again, it's, you know, we like to stick to the tradition and stick to, you know, we believe in structure. And I think one of the problems that we have at times is that folks want to adjust and include and subtract, you know, from the original concept. And that's not, it takes away from what it is. When I talk about Black August, this is based on what I was taught by founding members of the Black August Organizing Committee, folks who actually introduced the concept of Black August. So, you know, for clarity, this is not, you know, it's not personal. It's not something that, you know, I just think that I'm some know-it-all. This is, you know, this is how it was delivered. Black August is about resistance. It is an annual commemoration, not celebration, of our political prisoners, those who lost their lives during the 1970s in the gulags of California, along with the hundreds who are currently languishing under torturous conditions and being denied their basic human rights across the United States. Now, to talk about Black August, or to get an understanding of Black August, there are a few names and a few individuals who are important to the foundation, and the formation of Black August. So the concept of Black August began in 1979. It was manifested within and outside of the gates of San Quentin State Prison in response to several assassinations, state-sponsored executions, and deaths related to the denial of medical treatment. One of those deaths, one of those assassinations, the reason why Black August initially kicked off on the anniversary of this brother's death, was a brother by the name of Khatari Gaulden. Khatari Gaulden was a leader in the Black prison movement. He's a leader in the Black guerrilla family. He was a leader in our liberation struggle. Khatari Gaulden was injured on the while playing football at the San Quentin Adjustment Center prison yard. He's playing football, and as I was taught, I guess he was pushed and he hit his head on a pipe sticking out the side of a brick building. And so Khatari was taken to the infirmary, which was the prison hospital, with a severe head injury, and he was held there for hours. Even though they knew they couldn't do anything to help Khatari and that he should have been taken to a public hospital, they held him, and they held him, and they held him as long as they possibly could. The prison refused this medical treatment, and they said, basically, they didn't have enough security to transport him to the hospital, to the local hospital. Khatari lie in the prison infirmary long enough for authorities to see that he was gravely ill, and before they made a decision to transport him to Ross Hospital, which is in Marin, California, for a brain scan. And after several hours of not being attended to, he was transferred to San Francisco General, where he made his transition at age 32. Now, some people are listening, they say, well, you're saying that this brother was assassinated in one breath, but then in another regard, you're saying that he's playing football in the yard and, he hit his head on a pipe. Which one is it? It's both. We're talking about medical neglect. The question is, why would they assassinate Khatari Gaulden? Why would they assassinate a brother in prison? First of all, I want to acknowledge and send respect to the prison movement, because I think that many folks, when you think of prison, they don't think about the organization and structure. During the 60s and 70s, when brothers and sisters were being locked up and railroaded, there was not only there was a movement outside, which we're very familiar with, but there was also a prison movement. And this prison movement, when folks were railroaded and framed and locked up, so on and so forth, and captured, when they got to certain prisons, there was a system put together by freedom fighters behind the wall, so that when a bus pulled up, the prison bus pulled up, and they might have had UEP Newton on this bus or whoever, just use an example. There were brothers and sisters, depending on what camps they were in, that met and greeted our outside freedom fighters and served as security for these brothers and sisters, because they know, like in any situation, in any case, there's always some state backed derelicts and provocateurs, or just fools that want to get a reputation off of challenging, folks they consider leadership. So there was a system, there was a movement, there was an organization, where, as there was political education, different forms of training, so on and so forth, to survive beyond the wall, and to in hopes to rebel or maintain their sanity, their livelihood, and to basically survive. So during the 11 years of during Khatari Gaulden's 11 years of imprisonment, his leadership, courage, and accountability made him legendary. So much so that he became a target, one of the most hated targets by the California Department of Correction. For years up until his death, the prison paid off a number of inmates to kill him and also hired fellow convicts to file bogus charges in an attempt to set him up for more time. Many believe the prolonged medical treatment, which ultimately led to his demise, was the prison's opportunity to legally neutralize him. So this situation took place August 1st, 1978. And 1 year after Khatari's assassination, medical neglect, his death, his demise, Black August, the first Black August, was commemorated. Outside the prison walls, there was a group of individuals, small group, that protest and stood in solidarity with Khatari Gaulden and other freedom fighters, and also, of course, inside the prison itself. Taking it back a little bit further, because again, when folks talk about Black August, if you know anything about Black August, usually you'll hear about George and Jonathan Jackson, which are two brothers who definitely are instrumental in Black August, but you don't often hear about names like Khatari Gaulden. Taking it back to January 13th, 1970, 21-year-old W.L. Nolan, 23-year-old Alvin Juggs Miller, and 21-year-old Cleveland Edwards were involved in the altercation with members of the Aryan Nation on the yard at Soledad Prison. Corrections officer Opie G. Miller, an expert marksman, opened fire and wounded the young men. The brothers were left on the prison yard for 20 minutes until they all bled to death. Witnesses who were on the yard that day said they attempted to go to help these brothers, attempted to make an effort to bring them into the prison in hopes of getting medical treatment, and they were threatened and fired upon and told basically that they would be shot themselves if they touched these brothers. So they were left to bleed to death. Now, 4 days after these murders, after these assassinations, John Mills, a prison guard, was beaten and thrown from a prison tier to his death. There was a retaliation. George Jackson, Fleeta Drumgo, and John Clichette, known as the Soledad brothers, were accused and charged with the retaliation of with this retaliation and the quote unquote murder of that corrections officer. George Jackson was arrested at age 18. He was serving time and being sentenced to 1 year to life for allegedly robbing a gas station of $70. George had pled guilty, as advised by his attorney. Instead of going to trial, he agreed to a quote unquote confession in return for a lighter sentence. And the judge gave him this 1 to life sentence, which was designed to allow judicial flexibility. But it ultimately put sentencing in the hands of prison officials. So basically, George was given this 1 to life gamble as an opportunity to say, okay, well, you can be out in 2 years, good behavior, or 4 years, 5 years, so on and so forth. He's 18 at the time, didn't have any politics, and assumed that, that he can take this gamble, not knowing that it was essentially a life sentence. During his long years in solitary confinement, George studied political theory, he studied law, history, like much of his counterparts in the Black Panther Party. By 1968, he led political education classes with other inmates to further their education. And these particular meetings led to the formation of what became known as the Black Guerrilla Family. And the Black Guerrilla Family was a radical political organization. Jackson also joined the Black Panther Party. He was drafted by Minister U.P. Newton as the field marshal, and he contributed to the Black Panther newspaper, and it earned him a reputation as a eloquent writer and insightful political theorist. George was self-taught. He read any and everything he possibly could get his hands on. He learned and taught a bastardized martial art. His close comrade, he was a close comrade of W.L. Nolan, of course, one of the brothers that was murdered, assassinated on that prison yard. Him and W.L. Nolan was actually co-founders of the Black Guerrilla Family. George released his first book, Soledad, Brother, The Prison Letters of George Jackson, and he was quickly thrust into the international spotlight. Jackson was a recognized prison leader, organizer who studied and shared revolutionary philosophies and politics. Now, through documents released by the FBI through FOIA, or the Freedom of Information Act, we learned that the FBI was already tracking Jackson's activity by the time this whole situation had took place. The FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover was in constant communication with the FBI San Francisco field office regarding progress of the Soledad brothers case and his concerns about its constitutionality. Early in February 1971, the FBI informed the California Governor's Office, the State Attorney General, and the Superintendent of Soledad Prison about the investigation of George Jackson. Mid-February, administrators from the California Department of Corrections met with FBI agents to discuss in detail a civil suit the Soledad brothers had filed alleging various constitutional violations. The records also show that the FBI sent agents to talk to attorneys involved in the case and to the prisons where correctional officers arranged secret meetings with inmates who appeared to have only secondhand knowledge about Officer Mills' death. The Marin County Courthouse Rebellion. Okay, so on August 7th, 1970, George Jackson's 17-year-old brother, Jonathan Jackson, entered the Marin County Courthouse with several weapons, and he demanded the release of the Soledad brothers. Jonathan passed guns to James McClain, who was already on trial for stabbing another guard, William Christmas, and Ruchell McGee. And Jonathan announced to the court officers, "Okay, gentlemen, we'll be taking over from here." They took Judge Harold Haley hostage, Deputy District Attorney Gary Thomas, and Juror Maria Elena Graham. The four men hopped into a van and attempted to escape when police opened fire on the vehicle. When they got the judge and the DA, the juror, inside of the van, they were advised not to fire on the van, the prison officials, the police, but they opened fire anyway. In the aftermath, Jonathan Jackson, William Christmas, James McClain, and Judge Harold Haley were all dead. Now, it's interesting to mention and to understand that, again, Jonathan Jackson was 17 years old. And he was a student of his brother George. And he learned much of what he learned from, in regards to revolution and politics, so on and so forth, he learned from letters and visits to his brother George. Angela Davis. Let's talk about her role in Black August. Oftentimes, when we hear about Angela Davis, folks talk about Angela Davis like she was part of the Black Panther Party, which she wasn't a part of the Black Panther Party. She was a part of the Communist Party USA. But for some reason, folks associate her with with the Black Panther Party. But she was never a member of the Black Panther Party. Angela's role in Black August, Angela Davis became actively involved in the Soledad Brothers Defense Committee and eventually co-chaired it. Davis grew close to George and worked closely with Jonathan on a case. Some people would claim or suggest that Angela was in love with Field Marshal George Jackson. She loved his intellect, so on and so forth. It was also stated that the guns used by Jonathan Jackson in the Marin County courthouse were registered in Angela Davis's name, and that led to her being charged with murder, kidnapping, and conspiracy, and it made her a fugitive that was hunted by the FBI. President Richard Nixon at the time declared Angela Davis a dangerous terrorist. Angela Davis went into hiding and was placed on the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitive list. She was arrested in October 1970 and spent 18 months in jail, during which a widespread Free Angela Davis campaign emerged. And in June 1972, an all-white jury acquitted her of all charges. Angela's co-defendant, Ruchell McGee. They were co-defendants. They defended their own. They defended themselves. However, Angela Davis had 6 high-powered attorneys who came to her defense that were paid for by the Communist Party USA Defense Committee. And these private attorneys, they were trained at prestigious law schools. They advised her to sever her particular case from Ruchell McGee's case. Of course, as I mentioned, Angela would end up, being acquitted in June of 72, acquitted of all charges after being on the run, so on and so forth. And Ruchell McGee would go on to serve 67 years. And those 67 years included 7-8 years that took place before this particular case, but also, a total of 67 years altogether. Ruchell McGee is a brother who was released from prison in 2023. There's an article I'm suggesting that folks go check out that was written by Dr. Joy James and myself called Slave Rebel or Citizen. This particular article appeared in Harvard Law's Inquest magazine. You could Google it, Slave Rebel or Citizen. And it gives a thorough breakdown of who Ruchell McGee is and who he was. This particular article is an article that we wrote and was released 87 days before Ruchell McGee was released from prison under compassionate release. Ruchell McGee made his transition 81 days after his release. So at the age of 84, we need folks to understand that this is a name. When you hear the name Ruchell McGee, it's a name that was seldom heard or seldom mentioned. Again, he was Angela Davis's co-defendant. And sadly, even she rarely held up and mentioned the name Ruchell McGee. This is Ruchell McGee who was in the Marin County courthouse. This is Ruchell McGee who, like I said, was a co-defendant of Angela Davis. He ended up doing these 67 years altogether. This is a man who made his transition at 84. And so for all practical purposes, at age 84, he only spent 16 and a half years free. So he was literally enslaved for 67 years. 16 and a half of his years, the first 16 and a half years of his life, is what he had in regards to freedom, or the first 16 years, and the other, uh, few months, was, after he was released on this compassionate release. So we say definitely go back and check out who Ruchell McGee is, and read his story again, slave rebel or citizen, by Dr. Joy James and I. Long live the dragon. George Jackson went from a system impacted captive to a political prisoner and revolutionary. A system impacted captive to a political prisoner and revolutionary. I say that because earlier we gave you the definition for a political prisoner, a definition on what a political prisoner is. So I wanted to remind folks that no, he didn't go in, quote unquote, politicized, but he developed along the way. George developed and taught his team a bastardized martial arts fighting system. As I mentioned earlier, UEP Newton later drafted George as Field Marshal of the Black Panther Party. And almost a year to date, almost a year from the assassination of his brother Jonathan. Jonathan was assassinated August 7th, 1970. George Jackson was assassinated August 21st, 1971. A year and 3 weeks from the time his brother, a year and 2 weeks, excuse me, from the time his brother was assassinated, their mother lost two sons. George Jackson was assassinated by San Quentin prison guards after they claimed he smuggled a pistol under an afro wig and tried to escape while returning to his quarters after a visit with his lawyer. I remember listening to his mother, Georgia Jackson, and she talked about how she was home ironing and she heard on the radio that this prisoner, George Jackson, was killed inside of the prison. She also mentioned how the warden nor any of the other prison officials ever made a phone call to tell her that her child was dead. In fact, when she did get someone on the phone, they were nonchalant. It's like, yeah, he's dead. George Jackson finished writing his book, Blood in My Eye, and sent it out for publishing barely a week before he was assassinated. I believe it was like 5-6 days. So the book, Blood in My Eye, his last book of the two books, he never got to see its completion. San Quentin 6. Okay, that government sponsored assassination of George Jackson, it sent ripple effects. It sent ripple effects throughout the prison, throughout, across the globe. His assassination set off a rebellion in which 3 prison guards were killed in retaliation. 6 brothers, flee the drum go. David Johnson, Hugo Yogi Pinnell, Johnny Larry Spain, Sundiata Tate, or Willie Tate, known as Sundiata Tate, and Luis Talamantes, known as Bato, were all accused and labeled the San Quentin 6. Johnny Spain was convicted of the murders of 2 of the guards. Hugo Yogi Pinnell was found guilty of slashing the throats of 2 guards, both of whom survived. David Johnson was convicted of assaulting another guard. Fleeta Drumgo, Willie Tate, and Luis Talamantes were acquitted of all charges. Jackson's assassination had such an impact that it is said to have ignited the Attica prison rebellion. It was the straw that broke the camel's back, which took place 2.5 weeks later at the Attica Correctional Facility in New York. Observing Black August. Fast train, study, resist. During Black August, I would say Black August to me, as an observer and practitioner of Black August, would be like a Ramadan within the revolutionary movement, in this African liberation movement in the US. We eat only one meal a day after sunset. On flea days, we fast 24 hours until the next sunset. Now, a flea day is, again, a 24-hour fast, and there are 4 flea days. Again, people have made efforts to include all types of things into Black August that, that don't have anything to do with Black August. But the flea days, these very important days, these 4 particular days, are the days that the freedom fighters that I mentioned were martyred. The first day, August 1st, is in commemoration of the assassination of Khatari Gaulden. August 7th would be the Marin County courthouse rebellion, in which Jonathan Jackson, William Christmas, and James McClain were all slain. The 13th is the day that we remember that January 13th, 1970, was when Cleveland Edwards, Alvin Jugs Miller, and W.L. Nolan was assassinated. But we commemorate that on August 13th instead of January 13th. And the reason we use that as a flea day is because of the fact that W.L. Nolan, one of the founders, again, of the founder and comrade of George Jackson, and comrade of George Jackson, and co-founder of Black Guerrilla Family, was assassinated on that day. So the first, again, the 7th, the 13th, and then lastly, the 21st. And the 21st would be the day that George Jackson was assassinated. So one of those days we fast for 24 hours. Some of the other things we do, we eat healthy, natural and nutritious foods, no drugs, no alcohol, no lewd behavior for the entire month. We work on exercise routines for each day, individually or in groups. We work on physical fitness, martial arts, and other activities. And we observe Black August through political education, study groups, commemorations, and other events that pertain to and keep the tradition of Black August. We also don't watch TV, don't listen to BS radio. We like I said, we abstain and refrain from nonsense. Also, for folks who are really about that life, we try to not shop with corporate stores, try not to do business with large corporations that exploit the people. Some folks wear a black armband, as a symbolism, for our martyred folks during Black August. We support and right political prisoners, and just maintain, a level of discipline. Black August is about discipline. Now, I want to remind folks as well, Black August is not just a monthly situation. It's when all the other months lead up to Black August. So when you talk about, groups like the Black August Organizing Committee, it's a year-round thing. It's not just, we just show up and all of a sudden, Black is back. But it happens to be the month where it comes to a head. And so brothers and sisters in and outside, study Black August, or study, resist, fast, and train. 2 books that are absolutely necessary during the month of Black August, and I would argue that they are necessary throughout the year, as tools for political education, would be the Soledad brother, of course, Soledad Brothers, a powerful collection of letters written by George Jackson, from his incarceration in California prisons. Of course, Soledad at San Quentin, and also Blood in My Eye. The book that he dropped, often a radical analysis of class struggle, fascism, racism, and the necessity of armed revolution in the United States. Two very important books that you should definitely be reading. COINTELPRO 101. The Negro youth and moderate must be made to understand that if they succumb to revolutionary teachings, they will be dead revolutionaries. That's a quote from a communique, which is longer, communique sent by the San Francisco FBI. It was released by the San Francisco FBI on April 3rd, 1968, on the eve of the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King. That missive was released. Of course, that's J. Edgar Hoover in the picture. To the right is O.G. Shaka Tenen, one of our revered elders, who is now an ancestor and the brother who, one of my main teachers when it came to Black August. I served under his leadership. Now, again, we've highlighted a few key reasons why we continue to commemorate Black August resistance. We must preserve the spirit of Black August resistance in its proper context. And we must be clear, Black August is not a fad or just an event, it is a practice. Now, I want folks to understand, because again, while, we're yelling happy Black August, and, some folks are listening to this, this piece, and they're probably like, oh, I'm still going to put this, I'm still going to talk about ICE, and I'm still going to talk about everything else. All that's fine. But what Black August is the business. So each year in the state of California, over 300 inmates are placed on lockdown if they're caught with any literature or paraphernalia about Black August. I'll repeat that. Each year in the state of California, over 300 inmates are placed on lockdown if they are caught with any literature or paraphernalia about Black August. On August 5th, 2016, the FBI's National Gang Intelligence Center put out an anti-resistance propaganda memo with a fabricated warning that Black August was gang activity and to watch out for increased violence and ambushing of police officers in dark alleys. The memo serves as a form of propaganda used as an age-old scare tactic by the FBI for almost a century, going back to its Palmer raids. Now, again, this was August 5th, 2016, that the FBI National Gang Intelligence Center put out this propaganda, this quote-unquote memo. So I want to remind folks who think Black August is just some type of, time to lollygag, or it's just something that we throw on a t-shirt, or we're, being cute about, it's still being looked at as quote unquote gang activity. The year of the ant and the dragon, Black August Organizing Committee and the FTP Movement unite Black August resistance. In this picture, you see members of both the Black August Organizing Committee and the FTP Movement. If you're familiar with the faces and the names, that's all good. I'll acknowledge again OG Shaka in the photo, and the rest, my brothers, our brothers, I don't necessarily have to say their name. We know who we are. On February 15th, 2009, the Black August Organizing Committee, BAOC, and the FTP Movement formed an official union as agreed upon by Shaka Tenen, chairman of the Black August Organizing Committee, and Kalonji Changa, founder and national coordinator of the FTP Movement. This was during a weekend commemoration that took place in Los Angeles, California, where we met and we served the people, had a series of meetings, so on and so forth. And we formed this union that still stands to this day. My organization, the FTP Movement, was sanctioned based on our work, based on our commitment to Black August, our education, so on and so forth, our political education and trainings. We were sanctioned to not only practice Black August, but to serve in leadership capacity. I served as East Coast coordinator for several years, you know, I believe close to 14, 15 years. And so these are things that qualify me to speak on Black August based on learning directly from a number of different elders and OGs, so on and so forth, hosted a number of events, classes, so on and so forth, from the Bay Area to different parts of the United States. Here's a quote from Shaka Thanin. He said, "It's not just the building of the movement that we must be concerned with, but also the sustaining of the movement. To do that, we must identify our allies, consolidate our forces, and expand our programs and efforts across this country." He said, "Our people are suffering and our communities are in need. It is imperative that we build up the consciousness and will of a committed group of people that then work diligently towards improving the conditions of our people." I want to thank you all for checking out this piece on Black August. And my hopes is that we all commemorate Black August and that we commemorate it in the ways and means that it was designed to. No shade or slugs were intentionally thrown. If I said anything that's out of order of what the Black August Organizing Committee or the FTP movement stands for, then I will seek correction. But to our folks who are checking this out, this is intentional. And I say it's intentional in regards to the politicizing the political process, because again, there's so many people that take things out of context or change it to what they want it to be. I know for a fact that there has been attempted hijackings of the concept of Black August. I won't get into this right now. However, let's just say that there are still brothers and sisters, there's still comrades that are diligently working towards maintaining the foundation of Black August, maintaining the sincerity, and we are responsible. We hold a responsibility, and there's accountability when it comes to Black August. It's not a game. So again, we thank you all for your support of Black August. There are a number of different formations or organizations out there who are commemorating Black August. But I would say for those of you who are true to it and are interested in maintaining the tradition of Black August, I would say definitely look into the Black August Organizing Committee for leadership on that. Also, if you're looking to find more information on Black August, I would suggest you go to thepeoplesarmy.org/Black August, thepeoplesarmy.org/Black August for more Black August history, interviews, etc. With that, I say, Black August resistance, long live the dragon. If you like what you've learned today and you'd like to see more, and you would like to support our platform, Black Power Media, consider becoming a Patreon. You can support our Patreon, our current Patreon, by going to patreon.com/Black Power Media Reloaded. Go to patreon.com/Black Power Media Reloaded. We will have exclusive content in coming weeks. And we will certainly keep our platform growing. Our website is at blackpowermedia.org, blackpowermedia.org. Again, we say Black August Resistance and long live the dragon.
Sometimes the riot is a quiet one, where the battle is to love yourself and function in society, where voices of reason are muted by anxiety, like gaining notoriety is selling your soul. So we tend to go no deeper than the shallow water level, trying to keep us overhead in the face of all the slurs and the stares, mentally frozen, paralyzed by fear of failure and success. So we lock, stock, barrel, running while it's crumbling. All these towers and they're babbling, but the baby's in the bath and the stash under the bed on my head, spinning from the circles and the puppets and the strings that they pull. Then we move. Reactionary warfare never produces winners on the field. Feeble and foolish. What tools and what weapons are we using? We need some new ones. Real revolution. It's real solutions. Well, we've taken on the ways of the ones who conquer with their guns and religion and division. Got my inner me looking like my enemy. Real revolution. Where my inner me really a mirror for the galaxy. New time, brand new paradigms, new contracts to sign. They thought that this would all be televised, though it's happening right before our very eyes. It's on the inside, with their guns cocked. When that rock drops, standing on the rooftop, praying that the mountaintop can live inside the valley. People tell me the reward is somewhere off in heaven, like heaven's only in the sky, like chariots are swinging, like God is something separate from yourself, from your wealth, from your lover, from your neighbor. Oh, your savior is coming in your own name, coming with the face the same. Real revolution. It's real solutions. Where we've taken on the ways of the ones who conquer with their guns and religion and division. Got my inner me looking like my enemy. Real revolution. Where my enemy is really a mirror for the galaxy. And so we lock, stock, barrel, running while it's crumbling. All these towers and they're babbling, but the baby's in the bath and the stash under the bed. Oh, my head spinning from the circles and the puppets and the strings they pull. Then we move. Reactionary warfare never produces winners on the field. Feeble and foolish. What tools and what weapons are we using? We need some new ones. It's real revolution, producing real solutions. Because we've taken on the ways of the ones who conquer with their guns and religion and division. Real revolution. Where my enemy it's really a mirror for the galaxy.